You are listening to the Growing Small Town Show, a podcast dedicated to supporting you, the person who really cares about the future of your small town. We believe when people get better, everything gets better, and our episodes offer the ideas and actions that prioritize people and small communities. Thank you for listening. We're so glad you're here. Our guest on today's episode is TJ Roney. TJ is back for a second time. Her original episode was published and produced before we went to a season-based format. So if you go back and look for episode 132, she joined us to discuss recruiting young people to small towns because she, at that time, was serving in the role of our relocation specialist. You'll hear that she still is on a part-time basis. But since then, TJ, with her 25-year-old, she's 25. We talk about it pointedly. She bought a quilt store. So we lovingly say she's a 25-year-old grandma. And we talk about why a quilt store. Was that part of a plan? We talk about how being the child of entrepreneurial parents, how it shaped her. Like, how did she become a person? Because it's one thing, when we first talked to TJ, we were talking about what do small towns have to offer young people? And that was a whole bunch of stuff that had nothing to do specifically with running a business. And in a short year after being here, not even within the year, she had been approached by and decided to purchase a quilt shop from the current quilt shop owner. It's a great story. I think you're going to love it. TJ's a delight. And I again, when I think about what do I hope you take away from this? You get to, it's your episode. Let your ears take you where they will. But what I hope people take away from this is just how much our businesses, the businesses we choose to run, can actually stand for something bigger than what it might seem. It's not just a storefront. She's not just selling fabric. TJ has a mission, and I'm going to let you listen to hear what that is. But this is the future, friends. This is what's possible for our communities, and we need to start looking at our communities this way instead of thinking, well, no young people would ever want to come here for that. And I think to some degree, our show. I get a little heat sometimes because I think there's this impression that I only care about young people. It's really not true. But the hard truth is that we are going to need young people if our communities are going to thrive because they are the future, especially the ones that are coming back and choosing to take over brick and mortar businesses. We need to rally behind them, and we need to see more opportunities to plug them into these specific ways. And it's just a delightful conversation with TJ. So buckle up, friends, and enjoy this talk with our very favorite resident 25-year-old grandma. Well, hey, TJ. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast studio.
I know. This is so nice.
And you work right in this building, and this is our first time sitting down and using the new digs and the new equipment.
Great.
Yeah.
I love it.
So you've been on our show before. Welcome back.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah. And now we're here to talk about, so again, this is where my prep is ridiculous. I could have looked back and been like, what episode was it where TJ was on talking about relocation and being a relocation specialist? We'll get it in the show notes, whatever folks like. But go back and listen to that one because that's really cool. You're still doing that role, very part-time. But since then, what have you done, my dear?
Well, since then, I aged about 50 years, became a 25-year-old grandma. I bought a quilt store. So.
Yeah, you did. Yep, yeah. You're a 25-year-old running a quilt store.
Yeah, it's not common.
It is not common.
But
that's what we're here to talk about. So there's a bunch of stuff that, of course, delights my brain about all of this. I mean, namely that you bought a business in Oaks. We're so lucky to have you. Why don't we go back to maybe, because I don't really think we talked about this much with your relocation specialist role because it was just different. But maybe, and again, you haven't been prepped for any of this stuff. So if you're like,
we're just really jumping
if you want
in.
to be like, Rebecca, no, I'm not doing that, you can absolutely say, no, thanks. But I'm curious, of course, I know your parents. What and how do you feel like you were shaped? Like, why entrepreneurship? Why did you buy? We'll get into the why a quilt store.
Yeah.
Because that's fun too. But just like owning a business for as young as you are, as a 25-year-old, it's not easy. It's not a simple thing to do. It's not something everybody's like, oh, I think I should, especially move back to a community like ours. What was your influence to do so? Or maybe what kind of, did you always want to have a business, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Talk about entrepreneurship just a bit in general.
Both of my parents run their own businesses. My mom has the store right across the street from mine. And she's been there for over 30 years. My dad's a farmer. You know, he's never done anything but either work on his dad's farm or work on his farm. So I just honestly don't really know anything other than it when it comes to careers. Like, it's just what my parents did.
It's what we do.
Like, my mom jokes, she's like, why can not, because my brother is also an entrepreneur, and my older brother, my little brother's still in college, but she jokes, she's like, why can none of my kids just get a job that has like normal health benefits and is like steady and like makes so much more sense? And I'm like, it's honestly, you're to blame. Like, you did this
I
to
swear,
us, so.
okay, you're going to have to fact check me on this, but I swear your mom, and maybe Heather, if you're going to, hopefully she'll listen to
Hi,
this.
Mom.
Hi, Heather. I'm pretty sure she had a sign in her store at one time, because I'm pretty sure I took a picture of it. It said something like, owning your own, this is a paraphrase, so maybe it said, owning your own business is as overrated as natural childbirth, or something like that. And I remember looking at it and just giggling, because that's like, again, I think store ownership, like, and your mom's shop, I mean, let's be real, it's an independent bookstore, coffee shop, like eatery, and an ice cream shop. For crying out loud, like that.
My childhood was great.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that sounds so picturesque and like, oh my gosh, and people love your mom's store, and rightly so. But I think like she's still. I just love that she was very much like, it's not all fun books and
sunshine
sprinkles
and
on your ice cream cone, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, did you guys talk about it? Like, was it just so naturally a part of your upbringing that you guys didn't really talk about it? Or
honestly, no.
I'm just curious.
I have parents that are very much like, if you bring an idea to them and you're like, I don't know, I kind of think I want to do this, they'll be like, okay. Like, sure, let's do it. I feel like between me and my older brother too, he's the same way. Like, we've had so many different hobbies and things that we like enjoy doing and have tried and whatever, because our parents were never like, I don't know, is that the best idea? Maybe you should go a different direction. They're always just like, okay, sure, like, we'll help you figure it out.
Kind of like down to try, down to play.
Help us with whatever. Like, if we want to do something, like, they're going to help us. We might fail at it and it might not work out, and that's fine. But we can't say we didn't try, at least. And so I feel like it's just kind of always been there, because it wasn't ever like turned down as an option from our parents, which is so great. And I'm so grateful, because
it's so great.
A lot of people's parents would be like, I don't know. And so,
well, I mean, you joked about it, that your mom was like, why can't you just get a
and
normal
I'm like, this
job?
Is literally your fault. Like, you made us.
You did this to
Mom.
us.
Like,
but like, I know she like means that in some regard, but truly, she's just, she decided to encourage your creativity. She decided to encourage your willingness to try. And I of course think that's amazing. And I hope that my kids are kind of I hope my kids are seeing that same kind of thing, regardless of it. Okay. Because I really feel this way. And I think this will be a fun conversation, for the fact that like you're back and you're now helping people relocate here, still doing that while you're running your quilt store. But I think our community, you look at the community of Oaks, it isn't entrepreneurial thinking and that willingness to try and that kind of audacity to say, hey, we should do this. That does not just live in Main Street businesses or businesses, right? It's every great idea that a community needs has to have somebody saying, hey, what if we did that? And then people around them saying, oh my gosh, what if we did? And then we try it, right?
Yep.
So I think that's special. I think our community needs more of that. So thank you, Phil and Heather, for because it's also cool. You and Grayson own your older brother. You now own physical businesses,
right
both across the street from your mom and right next to each other.
Yeah, him and his girlfriend bought that building. I don't even know if it wasn't a full year. It was only a few months prior to when I purchased mine. Well, maybe, whatever. It was less than a year.
Yep.
Anyhow, so that was kind of fun because I texted both of them and I'm like, hey, neighbor. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, so it was fun, but it's also super fun, right, across the street from my mom. So
it is. It's really, I think it's cool. Really special. So let's talk about the quilt store in particular. So, because I think what's really fun about this, TJ, is that it wasn't your grandma's business. We call it a grandma business in total joking, right? But not really, because honestly, quilting, so here's my background with quilting. My mom's mom, my grandma Dorothy, quilted. She gave me and Jeremiah the most beautiful, it was a handmade quilt for our wedding. She did that for a lot of my cousins, right? And my mom didn't ever really fully do the learning hands-on with my grandma before my grandma died young at 76. She wasn't very old. It was sudden, all the things, right? So after that, my mom learned how. My mom sewed. I sewed when I was little, in 4-H and stuff. Yeah. But it's just one of those things that it's if you don't have somebody teaching you to quilt, it tends to be, at least, again, this is fairly anecdotal. I'm kind of testing you on this too. Is this true? But who's going to teach a person how to quilt if it's not something that's kind of passed down, right? So I still have a chance. My mom is, and of course my mom,
great quilter.
Oh, she's a great quilter. She loves it, and it's perfect for her and her very perfectionist little brain, and yet it's creative. So it's a really, really great outlet for her. But this wasn't your mom. This wasn't in your family. And it's not like you moved back to Oaks saying, I'm going to buy the quilts. It wasn't. So how did this come about? Because I think too, I want to help people, anybody listening to this, to realize if you have a business and you assume the next person to succeed, you has to be your family. This is such a great example that's not necessarily true. So, as much as you want to share about the dynamics of that, but I just think it's really special.
So my grandma taught on my mom. So I'm talking my mom's mom. And on that side of the family, she only has just 5 grandkids, 2 girls, 3 boys. She taught all of us to sew. My one cousin and myself stuck with it. But when I was 5, I think I was 5 or 6 when I started my first quilt. And she didn't teach us wanting us to she just wanted us to know, similar to when you're in 4-H, you learn to sew and it's a good skill to have. And maybe you don't do it again for 30 years, but you could probably sit in front of a machine and at least maybe figure it out, right? So she just taught all of us so that we had the skill. And I've always done it as a hobby ever since. I love fabric. I
fabric.
I love fabric. I like creativity. I like being creative. And so I've always done it. I never in a million years thought I would own a quilt store. It was just a hobby. It's strictly a hobby.
It wasn't that's just what I think is so fun about this. It wasn't one day I'm going to own a quilt store.
It was definitely my dream to own my own business.
Right.
I didn't know what that looked like exactly. I didn't definitely not think it was a quilt store, but so when I moved back to Oaks in January of 2024, yes, I had approached you. We kind of got the relocation specialist stuff going, and I was working at my mom's store 2 days a week, just over lunch, helping her out, and in a part of not a part. You're gonna have to cut that out because that was the wrong word. In addition to helping her at the store, I was doing her social media as well. And then I honestly don't even remember if the at the time owner of the quilt shop approached me or I had approached them. I think I had approached them as just like, hey, I like social media. Like, I'd be happy to like run your Facebook page for you. So that I did that all of 2024, and it was spring of 2024 when the owner was like, would you ever be interested in purchasing this? And I was like, I had just gotten out of a business, prior business deal, whatever. And I was like, I think I want a break. I'm not up for it right now. And she's like, okay. So, she never really mentioned it again until later that fall. She was like, are you sure? Because I am going to list it for sale. And she didn't want to see the community lose the quilt store.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't
I was
know,
going to say, let's just pause for a minute and talk about this. You went right into what I was hoping you'd touch on. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's 24 quilt shops throughout the entire state of North Dakota. Fargo has one quilt shop, which to me is so wild and crazy.
It is crazy, TJ, but it's also like, what's the name of it?
Raybon.
Okay. So, but there used to be a Joanne Fabrics,
Correct.
right? Which had, and again, it's like kind of these bigger, it's like everything, like with everything, kind of the market shifts and these bigger kind of standard or, the stores that you expect to carry that kind of stuff, they end up closing, or I don't know what happened to Joanne Fabrics. If they
it was
actually
some big corporate thing bought them out.
Yeah.
Tried to switch. Kind of tried to take their inventory to more home goods rather than fabric. It just kind of fizzled out, and then they went bankrupt essentially. So,
right. And so, but that's so interesting that Fargo only has one.
It is.
That's
and
wild.
I think people assume that, Joanne's closing, that must be so great for you. I'm like, I don't necessarily think it's that great. They carried a lot of apparel fabric, and quilt shops like me, we don't carry apparel fabric. We can't justify the cost of having it in our stores. Mm-hmm. And so I actually don't necessarily think it's that great of a thing when it closed.
Because all it's done is just like cut off access to that many more people. Exactly. You know what I mean?
It's like harder for people. Maybe somebody
to get
wants
into
to get into sewing, but they want to do the apparel side of it. That's great. You're probably you can use my stuff at my store, but maybe that's not what you're exactly looking for. So that's a big. People assume I'm like happy about that. It's not necessarily great, but anyhow, so throughout the whole state of North Dakota, I think it's 24, and the closest one to us, I mean, if we butt down into South Dakota, there is one in Aberdeen. That's technically the closest. Otherwise, the closest shop, if we're staying in North Dakota, to Oaks, is Fargo. And that's, an hour, 45 minutes away. There's so many quilters in the southeast corner of the state that this is the shop that they came to. And so the owner at the time was, she very much didn't want to see the communities lose the store. So she really wanted to try to sell it to somebody who would keep it as a quilt store. Hence why she didn't want to list it, put it on the market officially and stuff, and have somebody buy it and turn it into something else, which would be great too. But, she really just didn't want to see it, the quilters in the area lose the shop. So she really, really, really wanted me to buy it, and I really, really, really didn't. I was like, I just don't think I want to do it. And so that fall, I had told her earlier in the fall, I was like, how about you get me a number, get me the information, and I'll think about it. We'll see. So it was like about October of 24. Yeah, October of 24, and so we sat down, and she just kind of went over how much she wanted and this and that and, all of the things. And it was essentially impossible to say no. I mean, just from the standpoint of investing in a Main Street building, just to have the building on Main Street, let alone the business and the inventory and everything, I literally was like, I think this would be dumb to actually say no. And I'm like, and it's not something, I enjoy quilting. I know I can run a business. I'm good. Like, I'll do it. Whatever. So
were there any conversations you had that just felt like it really solidified your decision? I mean, how did you go about deciding?
It was,
And that's more, this is kind of meta, but I think it's important because, it's like, you literally weren't going to, you had no, this is not on your radar at all.
No. It was so out of the blue. And I mean, not necessarily out of the blue because she had kind of mentioned it to me, but I had kind of thought, whatever. And I had actually told her, like, I don't want to have a business right now. I was feeling burnt out of it. I didn't want to do it. And I had told her, I'm like, but I will take photos of the store for you, like, so that you can use those to get a listing up. Like, I'll help you in that sense. But otherwise, like, I don't want it, And it was really the conversation when we sat down and went over the financial aspects of it all and what she was asking. And, of course, I had sat down and looked through the previous, sales from the year prior and all of that. And I'm like, because here's the other misconception is I think a lot of people just assume any retail business in a small town makes $0. And that it's just whoever's doing it is doing it for fun and as a hobby. And that's not true. I mean, a lot of times if you have a retail business, you're doing it because it is something you enjoy, but it can also make money. Like it can. And I think quilting is such a niche business or hobby, I guess. And if you're not a part of that world, you have no idea. I mean, quilters, they're retired ladies who have this hobby that they love. They are going to do it, and they invest in their hobby. And if you're not in that world, that makes no sense to you. And so I think a lot of people just, were like, I can't believe you're buying this store. Like, I can't imagine it makes any money. I'm like, I just really thought it'd be fun to buy a failing business. Yes, thank you. Yeah, for sure. That's totally what I'm doing here. So it was that, I think, and just seeing like, okay, I can, and I knew at the time their online sales, they did do online sales, but you knew that
minimal. You knew there was a lot of potential.
Top of the line.
Yeah. You could see the potential of it because you also understood social media.
Yes, and social media was a big part of it too. I'm like, obviously that's not something you can sit down and be like, I will grow, the business this much because of social media. It all just happens how it happens. You can't force people to look at your stuff. So, but I knew I could grow it more from where it was at. So I was like, I think, this would be ultimately like a good investment, if nothing else. And I know I'll enjoy it because it's something I like to do. And so after that conversation, I had told her, I was like, I'll let you know by the end of this month, And I probably messaged her the next week and was like, I'll do it. So, and then from there, we decided on end of the year. So December 31st was her last day of ownership, and we had signed papers earlier that month, and I officially took over January 1st, 2025. And then I was closed that whole first month of ownership I just wanted to totally rearrange it.
And refresh the store a bit, right?
And do some different things, get some new display pieces. And there was a basement in the store that prior had been covered up. I mean, for probably 20 years, maybe. The basement had just been totally covered up. And it worked great for them. They didn't want to have the basement. And so they, put some boards on top and had bolts of fabric on it. But it was about 500 square feet of space. And I just wanted to have that as retail space. I'm like, I want more stuff. Like I like to buy things. So let's fill her up, And so I kind of that first month too, we were working on the basement and needed, painting, new carpet, lights, all that jazz. So that was fun too. So that whole first month was just kind of rearranging, doing all those things to get it kind of back up and running. And then February 1st was my grand kind of reopening. And I had changed the name as well. So that took a lot just from the standpoint of making accounts, my wholesale accounts and whatever else.
Right.
And then I also did a total website revamp as well. And that the website was actually shut down for about a month and a half. I didn't get that back up till about mid-February. And that has been super great. And yeah. So then I went into my first year and
And also, you are now on one particular social media platform that I would guess not a lot of quilt stores are on.
Yeah. Can I like say the name of it, or is that like a...
Yeah, well, I think, well, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I don't know if you can like name the...
I think we can.
Like,
I mean, I guess they can come after us. I'm not sure what they're going to do to us, TJ, but can you share some of the stats of just, you know, and again, I didn't prep you for this, but even just generalities. But so talk a little bit about what your strategy was and like what you're sharing and why.
My personal favorite social media platform to just be a user of is TikTok. I love TikTok. People hate TikTok, and I'm like, listen, I have learned so much on TikTok.
Same.
I love it.
Same.
So I love filming things when I go somewhere. I like to take pictures. I like to make little, film little video things, and I like to, put that together and make fun little TikToks with some fun music. So I had just little bit been doing that here and there in the year prior or whatever, a couple years prior. But January, it was actually, and I wasn't even going to necessarily put it out there, I had put together a compilation of clips I had throughout the first probably 2 weeks of 2025 when I had just been redoing things and moving things around. I had just been filming some things, and I wasn't necessarily going to post it, but it was right before TikTok was going to go away. Mm-hmm. And we didn't know what that looked like. And so we didn't know if our accounts would get totally deleted,
right.
if it ever came back,
if we would be able to recover
it was horrifying. I'm making this sound so dramatic. And it was
but for real, I hated it. Platform. I was like, I love this. And they're what am I going to do at the gym? It was my whole thing. Oh my God, that's how I get through workouts.
I know. I love to scroll. I am chronically on TikTok. It's bad, but whatever. So I didn't know if my drafts that I had created would save. And so it was the day before it went away. I was like, I need to get my drafts posted so that I can at least save the video to my phone.
Yeah.
And have the video just for the memory of it. So I posted a video, and it was come by a quilt store with me. And it was just all these little clips of me signing the papers and then unlocking the door and going in and moving some bolts around and whatever. And I just didn't think anything of it, posted the video, and then TikTok went away. And I was actually with my family at my aunt and uncle's cabin for the weekend, and TikTok came back. It was only down for, it was very dramatic scenario, and it was all of 2 hours that it was gone.
I know it wasn't gone very long, but remember, do you remember just so we get the record straight on this, I was like, okay, I'm just going to delete it off my, take the app off my phone. Do you remember? Right. I didn't delete my account. I just took the app off my phone. I don't want to see the icon because I'm going to want to press on it and there's nothing there. And so for my own mental health, or so I thought, that's what I did. And then it was it's back, but if you took it off your phone, you're not going to be able to re-download it. And then I had to wait. Yeah. It still wasn't as dramatic as we're making it sound, but it felt like and my son was like, "Oh, Mom, you screwed up," and I was a little bit devastated, but it came back. Yeah. I don't know, it was a couple days maybe, not even a week, I don't think.
Yeah, I was gonna say they put it back in the app store, I think maybe a week later or something. But
yes, I know it was technically only down for.
Traumatizing.
It was. I know.
So anyway, though, so I post this video and TikTok goes away, whatever. I was at a family lake weekend, whatever. I wasn't really on my phone much anyway. And it was the day it came back, I was like, oh my God, it came back, and I didn't go on it though, because I was, hanging out with family. That evening, I think, was when I finally went on, and I was like, oh my God, what are all these notifications? And I'm like, I've got this video that's blown up. Blown up is just a little bit dramatic.
Yeah, no, you're looking at your phone. I'm just narrating this for everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to pull it up.
Because I think what we have to remember, again, just for context, our town has 1,800 people in it. Mm-hmm. So when you share, and there's actual, we could look it up and say what actually constitutes a viral video.
Yes, that's a big question. I don't know.
While you're looking up your stats, let me look it up, because I know Tessa, when she was on, she talked about looking it up.
And so, yeah, I posted this video. It went out. Yeah, it was January 18th. I think the ban happened on the 19th, and it was just literally a video like, come by a quilt store with me. Paper sign. Now time to reorganize. It was I didn't think much of it, and obviously since then, the video has continued to get views and stuff. So right off the bat, within that first day, I don't actually remember what the number was, but go ahead.
No, yeah, okay. No, I'm just looking. I don't know yet. I'm seeing, it literally says, it says one video hits 10,000 views and feels huge. And then another reaches 100K and doesn't feel viral. So I haven't gotten an answer yet. So yeah, go ahead.
And so so the thing with TikTok is, when you look at your videos, like, it'll tell you how many views you have in the bottom left corner of each video. Mm-hmm. And when it gets to 10,000 is when it goes to, it says 10K. That's when you get the K, is 10,000.
Yeah.
And I had only ever had one like random video from a couple years prior ever get the K. So that K it was very exciting for me. It is
a big deal.
And
that's so here's what we can talk about. How many followers do you have?
Well, let me say this number, because otherwise I have to scroll all the way back down.
Okay, you're good. No, you're good. Yeah, and then we'll talk about it.
I will say the followers though. So that video currently has 210,600 views, 18,600 likes, 380 comments, 428 saves.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was just like, oh, okay. So
what did you do with comments? Did you reply to them, or just like them all? Or what did you decide? What did you decide to do? Yeah,
ones that were genuinely asking a question, like, "Do you have a website?" I'm like, "It's coming.
Right.
Like, I'll have it in a month." Right.
TJ.
Otherwise, I was mostly just liking them, at least so that I was acknowledging them.
Yeah.
That person. And then I was like, okay, so I can't just post a video and never post again about this. Like, I have to do this.
And you're like, well, shit. Now I've got to I'm a content creator.
Like, what?
On TikTok.
And so research had kind of shown me that I should post a video a day, and that's what I've stuck to since that video.
That feels extra. Is it a lot? Does that feel like a lot for you?
Sometimes it is, but.
Have you ever skipped a day just because you're like, okay, good. I'm like, that seems insane.
Like 2 or 3 times in 2025 where I went like 3 or 4 days without posting, just because a lot of times I'll create, when I'm in the mood to make a TikTok, I make like 10.
Yeah.
And I kind of just bank them up.
Yeah, there's a good smart strategy. Because
but otherwise,
content creation is not something that always feels good. Right?
No,
it goes up and down with your moods.
Well, and it's very I don't like what I'm wearing right now, so I'm not going to be in any videos. So then that also alters the type of video you're going to make. I can't be in the video because I don't want to post videos where I'm not looking, like, not that I look fantastic in all my videos, but like, I don't want to feel like a potato in my,
Totally get it. So, yeah, I totally get it.
So from that video, I've pretty much posted every day, aside from, a few here and there. And after that, I kept posting more videos, and I was like, oh my God, like, they just keep commenting. The people are watching my things. And so, like, the next video was literally me sitting there talking, and I'm just like, hey, so here's an update. Like, this is what it is. And that got 18,000 over 18,000 views.
Looking at this, so what I've got in front of me is just a little chart that says like account size on the left-hand side, and then views that off, and it says feel viral. The Growing Small Towns show is recorded locally at the Growing Small Towns podcast studio located in Oaks, North Dakota. It's produced by Pheasant Canteen Studio in Aberdeen, South Dakota, with marketing support from Cassidy Johnston in Canyon City, Colorado. Our intro music was created and produced exclusively for Growing Small Towns by James Bergman, singer and songwriter from Fargo, North Dakota. Local and small. It's what we support, and it's who we love. Get your community a shout out on the podcast. Call 701-203-3353 837 and share your small town success that you just don't feel is being celebrated quite enough, and let us shout you out. You can also share your biggest people challenge, and we'll dedicate an episode to offering ideas to help. Hell, you can basically tell us anything, and we'll do what we can to answer. We can't wait to hear from you.
You know the hardest part about community work? It's not the funding or the planning, it's the people stuff. The burnout, the resistance to change, the we've always done it this way people. And that's why we started the Growing Small Towns Club, a place where community doers and dreamers can bring their toughest challenges, share what's working, and feel a little less alone. It's part think tank, part pep talk, and 100% heart. Join us for just $30 a month at growingsmalltowns.org/club, because communities thrive when their people do.
But so, like, when you started this, because you did this did you start an actual TikTok account for Quilters Mercantile, or is it you?
I still use my personal.
Okay,
yeah.
that was just a general question.
Post other videos sometimes too. Like if I go somewhere, I'll post some travel ones, or like I post a video with like my niece every once in a while, or just doing other things.
Again,
too.
I
don't
find
keep it to just Quilt Store. It is interesting though because the ones that primarily get any traction are Quilt Store, and so I keep it mostly to Quilt Store. But once in a while, I'll throw one in just because. For me, my TikTok account is also like a memory bank of things going on in my life. And
100%.
So I'm going to post this for myself. I'm not posting this because I want
a bunch of people
I'm going to post this fun video of me and my niece because I want to look back on that someday. I don't need this video of me and my niece to get thousands of... That's not why I'm posting that particular video.
Right.
But yeah, besides that, I've got... Right off the bat, it was kind of hot. It was like that big one, the 18,000, a 10,000... 22,000, another 18,000. And then it kind of slimmed down again, 22,000, 18,000 again.
But that's...
It just kind of, and it fluctuates. It's so...
But that's 10 times the size of our whole community, TJ.
That's so interesting that you say that because I've seen TikToks of people who have a large amount of followers and they'll like film themselves, at a basketball game or an NFL game or something, and it's a video of the stadium or whatever, and they're like, it's crazy that this many people follow me. If they've got 70,000 followers or something, they'll be like, to think that this is the amount of people that follow me is crazy. And now I don't have a large amount of followers. How TikTok works is once you hit, I think it's 2,000, you're able to then tag products in your if I buy something off TikTok Shop, I can go link that and somebody can buy it and I'll make like $1.83 or something.
Right. Yep.
Big bucks.
And then every video that you hope support one of those or endorse one of those things, it'll say like creator earns commission, right?
Yeah.
When you tag a product.
I don't post a lot of those. I don't know why. I think it's because it would require me to have to go on TikTok Shop and like buy a bunch of stuff, but I just don't. Once you reach 10,000, that's when you actually get paid for views. You have to enter the creator fund and you have to have 10,000 followers. I think it's 300,000 views within 30 days or something like that. And then I think there's one more criteria for it. I can't remember what it is. I do not have 10,000. My goal was 10,000 by the end of 2025. I didn't get there. So now my goal is 10,000 by the end of this year. So I have 6,839.
Okay,
followers.
So here is what I'm reading. Now, again, this is some person's blog about this. Okay, because I don't think there's hard and fast rules around some of these things. But basically, it's saying new accounts are small accounts, which they consider a small account under 10,000. Mm-hmm. If you get 10,000 to 50,000 views, that's considered viral. Okay. The fact that this one video has over 200,000 combined views, that's for accounts up to 100,000 followers. Mm-hmm. So that is truly it's a truly viral video that you created, and that had to be so dang fun. And
it was crazy because I remember my very first video I ever posted on TikTok. It was December of 2022. No, that's a lie. It was January of 2023. And I was still living in Minnesota at the time. And I was having lunch with 2 friends. And I had said, I really want to start posting on TikTok, but like, I just don't know, And they're like, post on TikTok. Who cares? So that's when I started posting frequently, but I didn't have that thing in my life that I was like, people are going to watch me because of this. Like, you kind of have to start with like a niche thing and then grow from there. A lot of people, maybe they start because they're doing hair tutorials and those videos take off, so they stick with that for a while, and then you slowly kind of can transition into like
you can
your
exactly.
Then people feel like they know you,
right? Absolutely.
And so that's kind of where I'm at now. Is just like I finally got that thing.
You're the quilt store. You're the 25-year-old grandma.
Yeah, I'm the 25-year-old grandma. That should be my new handle. And I don't like necessarily post because I'm wanting to like make millions of dollars from TikTok. I just posted, and it's funny because like that particular video, I literally posted it because I didn't know if I'd lose my drafts when TikTok banned. Like, I just wanted the video for my own memories is really all it was. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I posted that video. And from there on out, I've posted to kind of keep up with, and because people were in my comments, like, so I'm like, I feel like I owe them this update now that they've followed me and they're interested in my journey. So, but I never have posted like trying to make a lot of money. I just want to be able to like, I don't know, get more people to sew. Like, I get online sales because of TikTok, which is a great bonus, but that's not why I'm posting on TikTok. I'm posting on TikTok because I'm chronically on TikTok and I like it. Yeah. Like, I like to make fun little videos. So I do.
And like, again, I think there's so much to this, because when this happened, like and then again, I get the benefit of I work with you, a few days a week when you're in our office, in our building. And I watched this happen and I was just like, there is so much we all can learn from this, because I think again, you touched on a couple of things. One being that mentality that we just kind of assume that brick and mortar businesses don't really, like, if they're lucky if they break even or something, like there's this weird idea that that's true. And I imagine that is horribly true, and margins get really tight and, all the things. It just depends on what your business is. But you're unlocking and kind of revealing the fact that social media is a tool that can actually elevate and help promote all of our businesses and the communities that they're in. Mm-hmm. So let's talk a bit about like some of the buses of women that have showed up here, and they're women that have shown up here to sew. Yeah. Because you've invited them. And then what's the benefit, and what's kind of what's the purpose of then doing a quick TikTok that shows highlights of their, because you've done a lot of that. It's so cool, TJ.
Okay. So when these ladies come, I don't record it because and post it to TikTok because I'm trying to get it to go viral. I hope it gets a lot of traction for sure. Well, yeah. But I'm posting it because I think it's fun.
It is fun.
And like, I'll mix in, I'll post a video of, some snippets of Oaks every once in a while too. And like, people are like, oh, it's so Hallmarky. I'm like, it is, it's a great town. And I have people that come here and they're like, Oaks just seems like it has so much going on. Like I was just saying the other day, I had not long after the park had been done, there were people, or after, we started to have events and stuff there. I think it was the news article. I had ladies come and they're like, we saw that on the news, and it just, Oaks seems like they have so much going on. We wanted to come check it out, and they've got a quilt shop, and the quilt shop alone kind of drives people to the community just because, again, it is one of the only in the area. Mm-hmm. So quilters are like this crazy breed too.
They are. Well, exactly.
They will travel states away for a good quilt store. Mm-hmm. It gets a little bit crazy, but it's great.
It's a little bit like cultish in a good way.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's a really obsessive hobby.
It is. And a lot of times it's also because it's retired ladies. Mm-hmm. If you're
so they have
big
time
into quilting,
and ideally some expendable cash, right?
You have the time to go drive, from Montana to. I remember every year they do quilting across the Dakotas. It's this big shop hop, and it's across North and South Dakota. So it's 40 some shops total. And you have just over a month to get as many as you can, basically. For reaching certain milestones of how many shops you've been to, you get different prizes and such. And my very first people that came into my store at the end of July for the shop hop were from Iowa. And I was like, you're from Iowa? Like, what are you doing for the North? What are you doing here for the Dakotas shop hop? And they're like, well, we went to the Minnesota one already this summer, and so now we're just doing the North Dakota one. I mean, they just drove from Iowa, and they were just, for a couple weeks, they were just going to go drive across the Dakotas going to quilt shops. So it's just like a different breed, sort of, which just help because they will come from afar.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fun, too. And then a lot of times, it's, oh, you should go across the street to my mom's store.
Yep.
I don't tell them it's my mom's store. I just tell them that they have a good lunch or whatever. And then I'm like, well, it is also my mom's store. So maybe I'm pushing you there a little bit. But, then they go and explore town. And they're
right.
like, this is a great place. So that's been kind of fun too. But I had, so across the state too, in the region, there's different guilds, quilting guilds. And there's 2 in Aberdeen, and they reached out to me. They're like, we like to go other places for our meetings so that we're not always in the same spot. Can we come to your shop? We'll shop for a couple hours. We're going to go get lunch if you have somewhere you'd recommend, and then we'll come back and we'll have our meeting. So I'm like, great. So, they get in some big 15-passenger vans, and they all drive up here, and
I have
really
witnessed this. So this is, yes, I've seen these women show up on Main Street.
One time, the Thief River Falls Guild was coming, and they actually had a big bus. And I wasn't prepared. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't prepared for a bus.
Mm-hmm.
And so they park, and there's this bus parked on Main Street taking up 5 parking spots.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, all right, here we go.
I know.
So, I take a video of them getting off the bus, and they're waving at the camera or whatever. And then I usually forget to record anything else because we get too busy, cutting fabric and whatever. But I had a group come up from Huron, South Dakota. They were doing a mystery shop hop. So there was 2 ladies who had planned it that were driving these 2 vehicles. And it was basically you bought your ticket to get on the bus, and you got on, and you had no idea where you're going. Mm-hmm. So we were one of the stops, and it was an overnight trip. They had no idea. After our shop, they were like, okay, you have an hour and a half at this store, and then everybody's getting back in, and we're taking you to the next place. So we've had quite a few of those. I would say, a handful or so this summer that came and did that. So that was really fun.
How... Other than obviously just existing, because we are talking about a very, I don't want to say they're an oddity, but they're, what would even be the word? How would you describe the desire that quilters have for, again, this willingness to drive? It is kind of wild. Cultish is the closest I can come in my brain to what you would call it. It's just actually obsessive.
It is obsessive.
Outside of being here, are you doing anything? Are you creating this network? How did you, or are you connected? Sorry, I just kicked you. Are you connected to other quilt shop owners?
So I actually, prior to officially deciding I was going to purchase the store, my grandma, so it's interesting because Oaks has had, it actually makes me a little, sometimes, because people will make comments to me, about, it's just last night, literally, a family member said to me, asked me how the store was doing. I said, yeah, actually, it's been really busy for this winter. I wasn't really sure what to expect for the winter.
Right.
After post holidays, and it's actually been really busy. It's good. And he said, oh, that is just so crazy to me. And I'm like, yeah, what do I say to that? Yes, it's crazy to you, but it's busy. I'm not making it up. I don't know. I don't know what to say to you, but I feel like I've forgotten where I was going with this now.
Well, we were talking about, so you started to say your grandma.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And so people act so surprised that I am busy. And I'm like, if you have looked up and down our main street in Oaks for the last probably over 20 years, there has been a quilt store. We have had a quilt store in this town for decades.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be that crazy that it has continued to thrive.
Right.
It has changed owners. I think I'm the fifth.
Really? That's interesting. I wouldn't have guessed it was that many.
I think Suzanne Spees was the very first one to really
sure.
get it going. It was
Sure
the
she
Waltzing
was.
Quilter.
Yeah.
And then since then, there was another ownership change, and then it moved across the street
Yep.
to a different
Okay.
owner, then the one I bought it from, and then now me.
Okay.
And it's not that they're selling it because it's doing so poorly. It's because their lives changed or they wanted to retire, and it's never changed ownership because of how it's been doing. It's just been lifestyle, basically. Like this gal, she wanted to retire. She wanted to hang out with her grandkids and her great grandkids.
Right.
So it shouldn't be so surprising that it does well. But anyway, whatever.
Well,
It drives me a little crazy sometimes. I'm just like, because your comments aren't necessary. Thank you.
Kind of just it's an ignorance, right? And I wouldn't say, I don't think they're trying to, I mean, I'm sure nobody's like
No, and that's
trying
just
to be hurtful. It's something they just don't understand at all.
Exactly. When you're have no idea of that world, I can 100% understand how that can be weird to you.
Yeah.
For sure. But
I don't know. I want to actually ask you. I feel like you are running this business with a mission that seems it's bigger than just running a quilt shop.
yeah.
So I feel that.
Yeah.
You haven't expressly said that to me or anything, but is that true? And if so, what are you hoping? What are you creating with the Quilters Mercantile?
Because it's not. Come back to that in 1 second.
Okay. Yeah.
I never really answered your other question about the connection to other shops.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So
thank
where I
you.
was
That's
getting
my
with
job
how
to
I
be
started
like,
that.
back to my
Well,
question.
It's so easy to get sidetracked. So how I was getting to where I was going was I was bringing up previous shops because my grandma actually used to work at the Waltzing Quilter when it was under Suzanne's ownership. And they would do kind of vendor shows and stuff, and they always did one in Aberdeen. And my grandma had met and since became good friends with the owner of the Falkton shop, Quilter's Corner. And so I had spoken to her prior to purchasing the store of just like, I don't know, and
Right.
she has been a really, really great resource, just with everything. Like, she's like, if you ever need anything, like, let me know.
Oh, that's
her,
awesome.
and then also the lady I bought it from too, Gwen, she's been like so willing to help, answer questions, whatever. So I have that kind of network, and my absolute favorite shop prior to purchasing this store, and now obviously like this is my favorite shop, was Bay Window in Pura, Minnesota.
Okay.
Love the store so much. Been going there since I was a kid. And I've gotten in contact with her and, have created friendships there too. So it's kind of, because the thing with the quilt shops is there's not really like it's not a competition, I would say.
Right.
One, because we're kind of few and far between, but also I think it's just an understanding that like everyone's going to, like, I'm going to get in different fabric and different lines than maybe this shop is that's 2 hours away. But people are gonna find things at any of our places, and I go to Purim and I spend money there too because she gets in stuff I didn't get in that I still want, but I can't. You can't get it all. You can't buy all of the things, and so it's not really like a competition. So definitely have created good connections.
Well, I think there's
I would
value.
love to plan like some crazy fun big bus trip, but.
Well,
see.
I mean, you've only been doing this now for a full year. So
I know,
you get to keep having like those big dreams and goals on your board.
My first year, I was like, okay, this is my year. I'm just going to take it easy. Like, I'm just going to get my feet on the ground. And then I had that video and I was like, I don't have time for that to get my feet on the ground.
Yep.
Like, I got to kind of I got to get my website up and running. I got to get my kind of website in tip-top shape because there's people who are shopping on there from my TikToks, and so I'm like, okay, never mind so much for that. But it's still been really good, but I still have lots of fun ideas and stuff that I want to do, and I will. It's just, it all takes so much time. I have great employees, but it's not none of them are full-time. They work there because they want to get a discount on
and
fabric,
they love to quilt.
and they love to sew, and they love to socialize and visit with people. And so I don't ask them to jump on board of my crazy ideas. So
right. So this is actually all of this is a perfect segue into kind of the bigger mission of like why you're doing this, what you're hoping to do, because then we can talk a bit about other things that you've done aside from just running the day-to-day of a quilt store, because you've done a lot in a year. So this is actually a good reflection point for you. So
boy. And I have to scroll back through my TikTok, see what I've done. I don't really remember.
Well, that's again, there's that posterity that you never are going to lose it because you put it out to the public. It's great.
So, I mean, ultimately, I feel like the stereotypical quilter is a grandma, you know, and that's not to say that there's quilters that aren't grandmas. Like, that's just the stereotypical. You think of
an older woman.
Yeah. Yep. That's just what you think of. So I would love for that to kind of not be the stereotype. So I think when people will come in and they'll be like, this is so great that, you know, you're so young and you've got this shop. And I'm like, it doesn't seem so bonkers to me just because I'm like, I mean, I've always quilted though. Like, it's normal to me to quilt regardless of my age. I've been doing it since I was like 5. So to me, age isn't really that wild of a thing or concept when it comes to quilting, but it is to a lot of people. And I would love to get more people, you know, under the age of 60 to 70. Yeah. You know, quilting. Yep. So classes for sure are the way to do that. I have had some. I would like to have more, but again, it just...
Yeah, I think you've done a lot. I think you've hosted a lot of things this year.
I think last year I did. They weren't all quilting either.
Right. Just neat, different things that people could do creatively.
Yes. I did. I think it was 8 classes, but I did like needle felting, you know. Maybe you want to... I just want anybody to come into my store and like be able to find something that they could, whether it's a coffee mug or a puzzle or a candle, like, you know, or maybe it's a pot holder that my grandma or I made to sell at the store, but I just want you to be able to find something. So maybe it's a needle felting kit from, you know, the local wool place 50 miles down the road.
Right now, we need to shout out the fact that I bought 2 kits from your store for Christmas.
That's right.
One was a macrame quilt or kit, way harder than it looks. Dude, it was hard. I spent hours on it. And for my best friend in Nashville, and there was 2 of them. One was just embroidery, so dang cute though. God, that North Dakota little thing is so cute. And, do you have them? Are they on your website?
I do, but I think I'm out of the North Dakota ones right now.
We're just going to have to. Yeah, we're just going to have to make sure we link to these because I'm talking about these things like they're the cat's me out because they are. It was super fun. But there was something so special about, I loved it. You know, it's cold in North Dakota, and I love that I would like sip some tea and work on my stuff. And there was some swears. There were some swears. I'm not going to lie because I'd get frustrated. Right. Yeah. But having my Christmas movies on in the background while I was like working on handmade gifts for somebody I love. Yeah. There's I'm not saying it's a lost art because I think there's a lot of trends that are moving us in this direction where people want to make their own stuff. And I think that is so great. But that's what you're offering, and you're offering it to actually an entirely different generation, right? I'm older than you by a good amount. Like I always joke, my joke is like, I could be your mom and I wouldn't have even had to be a teen mom, TJ. I could actually be your mother. So I think it's really, really fun. And you're seeing too in your classes, like it's not all just age isn't a thing. Yeah. As we're discussing this, and I just think I love it too. I think everybody should explore their creativity. Yeah. Oh, for sure. And forever too. This isn't like you don't age out of creativity either. Right. Anybody, you know, can and should kind of explore the boundaries of it.
Maybe you're in your 60s and you're not a quilter and you feel like I'm not going to learn now.
Yeah, like it's too intimidating.
You can though. I've had a lot of the classes that I had this last year were either youth specific or beginner level, or maybe not necessarily beginner, but very basic. Like I had primarily younger people. Like my age ranges were very different, like throughout each class and stuff, but it wasn't your stereotypical quilter that showed up to the class. So I loved that. I actually have a youth class in a couple days again too. The youth classes are really fun for me, because that's where like I first loved quilting, was like when I was their age. I took a quilting class. Not my first quilt, but one of my first quilts. I took a class that my grandma was teaching at the Waltz and Quilter.
Yeah.
And I remember it so well because it was so fun. I got kicked out multiple times by my grandma because I would not stop talking. So she kicked me out on multiple. She loves to tell that story.
I bet she does. Okay, Grandma Wendy, you might need to come on
she's gotta come on
talk
here,
about that. But isn't that special, TJ? Like, okay, this is going to be really weird, but just seriously, just earlier today, a gal from Oaks and I were walking around in the basement of my building talking about something. I'm not even remotely ready to talk about what this might be publicly, but I was sharing with her, like, this part of the building, my mom used to do, they were called make it, take it classes, like in the 80s. And my mom was, this was a big craft store. And so I think that there is something so special about those deeply ingrained memories, like you're talking about the Waltzing Quilter. If Suzanne gets to hear this, like she would love knowing that was like a core memory for you.
It's so fun because
it's so fun.
So that's why I like the youth classes a lot, because it's just like, it's kind of nostalgic for me, I guess, in a way. But like, what was really, really cool for me, my grand opening day was, February 1st, 25. And, so Suzanne, also, I spent a lot of time in the Waltzing Quilter too, just like my grandma worked there, and so they would like put me, I would sort some buttons or
shelves
or
whatever,
tie a quilt. And I remember one time I was tying a quilt, and my grandma was, you have to do, make sure you take your time, be careful in this, because when we hang it up on the wall, we'll say that it was tied by TJ Roney. And so, people are going to know it was you. So just take your time. And I was like, that, I remember that being like, it was like a big deal because my name got to be on the tag by the quilt. And, what 8-year-old dreams of having their name on a quilt tag? Like, what?
But now you're going to instill that hope in a whole generation of kids. Like,
but Suzanne was also my ballet teacher, whatever. Yeah. And she came with her sister to my grand opening day. So that was super, super fun.
Oh, that is
they showed up and
cool. But that's just it. And Suzanne, I mean, again, what a great example of a person that had really eclectic. And she, as a seamstress, made beautiful costuming for the FM Ballet, the Fargo Moorhead Ballet, I think was the company I don't know if that's correct, but
does, because actually
supporting
the person
costuming
that she's training to kind of take over her role is my best friend's sister.
Oh, that's
and we did not make that connection until like my best friend's wedding a few months ago, and we were like, oh my God.
That's so
cool.
But
it was actually really fun because when she was at my shop for a grand opening, she found this material. She's like, this would be a perfect skirt for this. I have to make a new skirt for the Nutcracker.
Yeah.
There
we go.
Yeah,
that's
and
like,
so I'm like,
that's
some of my materials like in the shows, I don't know, it's super, super fun.
It is. And again, I think all of this, I hope people love this episode as much as I had fun talking to you, but I knew it was going to be really fun. I think there's something unique about the opportunities that exist in our communities, towns like ours. I'll just say that. Again, it's not about the size of your community, but it's recognizing that every single community has multiple generations of people. Those people, especially if they want to come back, it might not be taking over the family business, right? There might have been some expectation. I don't know if you ever talked about actually taking over your mom's shop when she would decide to quit.
Honestly, I thought about this.
Yeah, we've never talked about it.
2 months ago, I was like, I wonder if I was supposed to take that over. She would never expect that out of me.
But that's the thing, and that's she didn't make it explicit. Like, okay, well now you're back,
you're
and
let's end up with this building someday. So now like she's not like she's whatever.
Yeah.
And actually, maybe my niece will someday. My niece.
She does look good. She does look good in her little apron.
Going into kindergarten, that was what she wants to be when she grows up, is an ice cream lady like JoJo's. So you never know.
I know.
I've got hope.
I think there's so much opportunity, and I think you're kind of crushing you're breaking the mold in a number of ways, right? Like obviously you're a 25-year-old grandma. I also love, I think we have to give a shout out to Gwen and the fact that she saw potential in you and just asked.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're listening to this and you're sitting with a business and you don't have somebody who in your community would be a good fit, and what does mentorship to that young person look like? That's the other thing too, right? She's, again, it's not about what a concession, how much the concession was, what she sold it for, any of those things. People have to make those decisions on the financial side of it. But she very, very clearly offered her support, her wisdom, her guidance, her counsel, and just help, right?
It takes, in a community like ours, it takes people to come back and want to do the things. But it also takes those people to be like, you know what? This was a big part of my life, and I owned this store for 10 years, but I'm ready. I don't want the community to lose it, though. So I'm going to take the time to find the person for this, and I'm going to help them, and I'm going to want them to succeed as well, and not just be like, here you go.
Or have some weird control that it needs to look exactly,
do the same. And I was so nervous when she came back in for the first time.
I'm sure you were.
And she's like, this looks awesome. I'm like, why was I nervous about that? But
it's just because you're mindful about it.
But those are like the people it takes too. It takes on both ends, you need all of it. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for coming back, TJ.
Yeah, thanks
It
for
has
having
been
me.
so fun to have you in our building. It has been so fun to have your energy, your perspective. And so that's, for me, it's funny every time I go somewhere and we're talking about generations and just how do we get this young generation, that's kind of this grumbly, whiny thing. And I'm just like, well, that's not my experience with the young generation at all, because I've got you here, Bailey's here. I just don't, we're so lucky that you decided to come back. And
I'm glad I did.
I know. I really appreciate you sharing kind of all the ins and outs of what you've experienced too. Hopefully we inspire more young people
I hope so.
to either move home or move to a small town
or take up sewing.
Or take up sewing. Just be creative, right?
Yeah.
Like literally I haven't sewn, and I haven't sewn with a sewing machine in decades. And I really think that maybe I should. Like maybe I need to learn how to poke.
It's just like a betting on yourself, no matter what. Whether you're going to be creative, just take the chance on yourself. Whether you're going to open a business, I don't know.
Or just
bet
make
on yourself.
something.
Why not?
Make something cool.
And when people laugh at you in your small little town because you're making cringy little TikToks, so what?
Yeah, right.
As long as you have fun.
Yep. And surround yourself with good people. I mean, that's what it takes no matter what. So thanks for being one of those people, TJ.
Yeah.
Okay, come on back soon, because eventually we're going to have to you're going to keep hitting different levels, and we'll keep having you come back and talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
Thanks. Yeah.
We hope you loved this episode of the Growing Small Town Show. We encourage you to leave us messages at 701-203-3337. And be sure to subscribe to our newsletter at growingsmalltowns.org. In the meantime, keep doing what you can with what you have right where you are. Your community needs you.
Because we are growing small towns. We are growing small towns. We're right here living our best lives, as crazy as it sounds. But we are growing small towns. Growing small towns, we are growing small towns. We are growing small towns.